Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to see everyone here. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm in the Client Training and Education Department here at TradeStation, and it's always a pleasure to do these presentations for TradeStation users and prospects as well. So welcome to this presentation. The title is Scan the Symbol Universe for Trading Opportunities. So we're going to take a look at some of the tools that TradeStation offers that allow you to scan the universe for any symbols that are meeting certain criteria. I'll highlight all the scanning tools that are available and maybe talk a little bit about the differences between them. But before I get started, first of all, I want to, well, I said at the beginning, welcome everyone, and also appreciate the fact that you're taking time out of your schedules to be here and learn a little bit about our technology. There are some important disclosures that I need to cover. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about during this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not TradeStation's recommendation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone, especially when it comes to trading options or futures. Anybody would like more information about these disclosures, please visit our website at tradestation.com, and you should find all the disclosure information at the bottom of the page. I take this opportunity to tell you about the TradeStation Getting Started channel. This is a channel that is available on youcantrade.com. It's a free channel, and we do weekly live classes on the TradeStation platform where we highlight all our technology and we have discussions about the features and functionality. The class is usually followed by a Q&A session. So if you are a TradeStation user and would like to have a live discussion on TradeStation features, please join me every Wednesday inside the Getting Started with TradeStation channel, a free channel available on youcantrade.com. And for those of you that want to take your learning of TradeStation to the next level, we have the TradeStation Masterclass. Right now, it's being offered at $59 a month. And what you find in there is a lot of technical analysis presentations, a lot of ways to develop trading strategies, and also how to develop and customize your easy language to make TradeStation a custom platform and make it work the way you want. So there's a lot of educational content offered inside the channel, and I want to invite everyone to try it out. There's a free trial. You get access to all that educational content for free for 14 days, enough time for you to see if it's something you want to keep and maintain your subscription active. So make sure to check the content out by visiting You Can Trade and seeing the two channels that TradeStation hosts, the Getting Started with TradeStation and the TradeStation Masterclass. All right, are you guys ready for the presentation? We're going to jump over to the TradeStation platform, and at this time, I'm using TradeStation 10. If you're using an older version of TradeStation, the functionality should exist. The scanner is the type of tool that, it's a tool that is available on older versions of TradeStation as well. But I wanted to point out that there's 3 different scanning tools in TradeStation. Today, we're going to talk about Scanner. But if I look over here at the list of applications that are available inside of the TradeStation platform, let me point out the 3 scanning tools. We have Radar Screen right here. We have the hot lists, and we have the scanner right here. Okay, if you use those 3 tools in combination, you can pretty much find any stock that meets any criteria that you're looking for. Differences. Well, Radar Screen is a real-time scanner. But Radar Screen is the type of tool that needs to start with a preset list of symbols. So you do have to choose what symbols you're going to be putting into Radar Screen, and then you can filter and rank those symbols that are inserted and added by you. But if you really want to scan the whole universe of symbols, there are about, close to 9,000 symbols out there, you would have to use the scanner. The scanner is a type of tool that does go out without you even supplying a starting list of symbols and goes and finds those symbols that are meeting the criteria that you're looking for. By the way, the hot list is a very simple scanning tool. It's a tool that pretty much filters the stock market based on one simple filter. But you do have to select a filter. Let's say, for example, you're looking at the percent gainers. That's what the hot list is there for. It's very quick, and it gives you the percent gainers for either 1 day, 5 days, and I think you have up to 30 days. But once you start getting into combining different filters, like for example, okay, I want to see the percent gainers, but at the same time, I want their volume to exceed a certain level. Once you start combining filters, then that's when the scanner comes into play, because the scanner not only allows you to scan the whole universe of symbols, but it also lets you select the filters that you want to apply to the symbol universe so that it only returns the symbols that match the criteria you're looking for. And you can be very creative in adding these filters, and I'm going to show you how to do that right here in this presentation. We're going to talk about some of the limitations of Scanner and how you can circumvent that. And at the very end, I'm going to present you with an idea. It's not original to things that I've created, but I think it's a great and interesting idea on how to analyze market movement. So let's go ahead and remove my drawing from my screen here, and I'm going to go to Apps and click on Scanner. The first time you open up Scanner, it'll open up exactly as you see it right here on my screen. In fact, this morning I went over my scans and I deleted everything inside of my scanner because I wanted it to be exactly how it comes the first time you open it. There's no scans created in it. In fact, as you create scans, and we're going to do that right here in this presentation, they are automatically saved into the scanner. So once you open up the scanner the next time you log into TradeStation, all your scans should be there as well. You have these buttons here, which are Create Scan, Sample Scan, Run My Scans, and Tutorial. I usually avoid using these buttons because once you start creating scans, these buttons will go away. I tend to just go over here at the bottom. You have the ability to add a new scan, to customize a scan that's already created, or to run a scan that you select right here in the scan pane. This box on the left-hand side, we call it the scan pane because every scan that you create is going to be listed on the left side of your TradeStation. And if at any point I want to take a look at the sample scans that TradeStation provides, I just have to right-click anywhere inside my scanner, go to Data, go to Settings, and then click on Sample Scan. Sample Scans is a panel. It provides, different ideas on how you can create scans. Let's take a look at one sample scan, and then we'll work on something that we're going to create from scratch, and you can see how easy it is to build our own custom scans. I'm going to go to Sample Scans. This is the panel. Let me go ahead and resize it so that it shows more. And you can see that the scans that are provided as samples are grouped by category. We have some chart patterns, some growth scans, growth and value, technical, and some value scans. You can take a look at the description and have sort of an idea of what these scans are going to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at one in particular. I'm going to highlight this one, which is called the big movers. In order for you to use one of the scans that are provided here as samples, you need to click and drag it so that you can drop it inside the scan pane. So I'm going to do that right now. When I click, drag it over, and I'm going to drop it inside of this box. And there it is. You can see big movers is now at the top of the list. Once you've added a sample scan, you can get rid of this sample scans panel. We know how to get it, right? We just right click and go to settings and then click the sample scans. And right over here, the scan is idle. It's idle because I haven't run it. I can run the scan very quickly by just clicking on it and then clicking the run button right here at the bottom of the scanner. You can see the scanner runs the scan very quickly and I get the results. But there's a few things that I want to point out before I focus on the results that I got here in the scanner. The first thing that I'm going to point out is right here on the top left. Notice how Big Movers has a plus to the left because it allows you to see the time and the date that the scan was run. That's one of the characteristics of the scanner, that it only runs at a specific date and time. It's not real time, like, for example, radar screen, which is okay because it just requires you to click on the Run button again to have a refreshed list of symbols. But here I see the exact date and the exact time that I ran the scan. So I know that if I'm looking at the results, I can reference the date and the time so that I know when they met the criteria. So every time you run, the scanner will time and date stamp the scan results so that you know when they happened. If I run again, let me click on Run one more time. I get a second entry at a different time, so you can see that it's recorded automatically for me. Every time that you run the scan and any changes you make to the scanner are automatically saved. So you don't have to worry about saving this to the workspace because it's automatically saved inside your scanner. So you can close out the scanner, reopen it, and still have the same information that you were looking at. Nelson, I see your comment about using MACD. We'll take a look at different studies that you can use inside the scanner and how you can modify them. And yes, this session is being recorded. It'll be available on the TradeStation YouTube channel. And I'm not sure if it's going to be posted anywhere else. I'm going to leave that to Nico to post in the chat if that is the case. But by the way, Nico is the person that handles a lot of the technical aspects of the presentation. Okay. We're going to go over a lot of filters. You know, I am noticing some of the questions that are coming through, and you're going to see how a lot of the things that I'm going to show you are going to pretty much answer a lot of the questions. Maybe not specifically, but you'll get an idea and say, oh, I know how to do it now. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. First of all, we were looking at a sample scan. So the whole idea here is to take these sample scans and make them your own. Notice that as soon as I run a scan, I get multiple tabs at the bottom of my scanner. I get results, which is a list of the symbols that meet the criteria you're looking for. We have a tab here, which I find very useful, added, dropped. This is a cool tab because as you make changes to the scan criteria, some of the symbols may be dropped and some new symbols may be added. So this is a very cool tab to go to whenever you make changes to your scan criteria to see which symbols were dropped and which symbols were added. Great for comparison purposes. And here in the settings tab is where we find the criteria that this particular scan is looking for. I want you guys to take a look. First of all, it gives you the name. It's big movers. The description is find stocks experiencing consistent price appreciation over the past 6 months. That is exactly what this scan is looking for. The symbols is doing all stocks, and then it has all the filter criteria. Let's take a look. First of all, it's looking at the description. Description is just the name of the corporation behind the acronym. Sometimes you look at a symbol, like for example, if you're looking at MSFT, that's a very popular symbol. We all know that it's Microsoft. But sometimes if you look at a symbol, you may not know what the company behind that symbol is. So the description pretty much gives you the name of the corporation behind the symbol. Here is also looking at the closing price, and it's looking for a range between 10 and 100. It's also taking a look at the volume average for the past 3 months, and it's making sure that the symbols have at least 500,000 shares traded. Market cap, you can also add that to your filters. It's looking for a market cap of greater than 100. And then notice that it has a series of percent change. The percent change for the past 5 days has to be greater than 5%. For the past 30 days, more than 10%, and so on, until it reaches the 26 weeks that it has to be greater than 20%. And as the description of the scan implies, these are stocks that are appreciating in value over a period of time, in this case, 26 weeks. Once this scanner runs this particular sample scan, it goes from the very top and starts eliminating any symbol that does not meet the criteria, beginning with the closing price. So when we go to the log tab, we can see exactly what happened. If you look over here, the first thing that it did is added all stocks to the symbol universe. And the universe right now, in this particular sample of data, is 8,943 different symbols. But once it applied all the filters, only 82 symbols remain. That's pretty significant. And it's really interesting how the scanner is able to run a scan over almost 9,000 symbols and returned 82 within seconds of us clicking the run button. If we go to the results tab, of course, gives you the symbol. It gives you the description, which is the name of the corporation, the closing price, and for every filter that you select within the scanner, you're going to get a column. So here we have the close, here we have the volume average, market cap, and here are the percent changes that we were filtering by. Isn't that cool? You know, it's impressive how the scanner is able to do those filters as quickly as it did. Okay, all these columns can be sorted. So if you want to see, notice that the last column is the one sorted right now. But if you want to see which of these symbols have gained the most the past 5 days, all you need to do is double click on the column header once to do it in ascending order. You double click twice to do it in descending order. And notice that over here, the past 5 days, this symbol, MCRB, Ceres Therapeutics, is up 445%. So this is the way that we run the scans. Let's talk about creating our own, the way that we start building our own criteria. And yes, Chris, we can add the columns that we want. Remember that I said that every column represents every filter that you select in the scan criteria, and we're going to take a look at that. And as you add filters to the scan, it's going to create a separate column for you. Let's see. I'm going to click on the add button here at the bottom left. Okay. And I'm going to give this scan a name. I'm going to call this price, volume, EPS, RSI, and making the name very descriptive so I know exactly what the scan is going to look for. And I do encourage everyone to do that, because if you have a whole list of scans and they're all numbered, you know, scan 1, scan 2, and scan 3, at the very end, you know, you're going to wind up not knowing what each one of the scans does. So always use descriptive names, and they're going to help you at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and click Next. As soon as you click Next, the dialog is going to come over here to ask you what symbols to include. I'm going to do all stocks. I'm going to go here to, I just clicked inside the cell and I got this menu. Notice that you can do specific exchanges, you can do futures, you can do custom symbol lists, you can do pretty much anything. All stocks are one of the bigger, you know, lists. So that's the one that I'm going to use as an example. If you're a futures trader, maybe the scanner is not the tool for you. If you're a futures trader, I would recommend using Radar Screen, because there is a limited number of commodities that you can trade or that you are trading. So if you're trading all commodities, you know, your symbol list should not be that big. So there's no need for you to use the scanner to look for any particular futures that are meeting the criteria. You can do everything inside of Radar Screen, which is our real-time scanner, okay? So I'm just gonna select all stocks here, and I'm gonna click Next. And the next dialog is where we specify the filters that we're gonna use in our scan. Remember that we talked about the description. I'm gonna show you where that is, but here in the field, we can go to the drop-down, and notice that we have all these different folders that are data pieces that reside on the server of TradeStation. So when you select inside the folders, and we do recommend that you select from the folders first, all the power of the scanner will run on the TradeStation servers, and that's why it's so fast. That is why when we ran the sample scan over here called Big Movers, the results came back very quickly because everything runs inside of the TradeStation server. So my recommendation is to select things from the yellow folders first, because it'll make your scan run much faster. We're going to get into technical analysis later, which is going to take up your computer's resources, and you're going to see how different the speed is. But over here, I'm going to go to, first of all, I'm going to go to company profile, because I want to add the description. Notice that I just clicked on description. It adds a field right here under the row that I selected. And under operator, I have to select something. Operators are kind of mandatory. For everything that you select as a filter or as a field, you have to specify an operator. And for description, we just need to display it. So that's the way that we get the name of the corporation next to the symbol. Next, I'm going to go to the second row. Notice that I get the exact same folder tree, allowing me to collapse and expand the folders, clicking the plus and the minus. Here, I'm going to look at pricing. So I'm going to go over to the price folder and select the closing price. Notice that you have the close 1 day ago or you have the closing price today. The closing price, if it's intra-day, it'll grab the most current price quoted for the symbol that it's been filtered. Okay, so I'm going to do closing and I'm going to select a range. So out of all the operators, I'm going to say between, and that's going to split the other field on the right-hand side in two, allowing me to specify a beginning amount and an ending amount. I'm going to say from $5 all the way to 100. My third criteria, let me go ahead and collapse close and collapse the price. I said that I was going to use volume. Now there's a lot of volume items in here. You can use any of them. And I want to point out that as you hover over any of the items here inside the scanner, you get a full description right below. So if you're not sure what some of these abbreviations are, just highlight or hover over it and look at the box below because it gives you a full description of how that field is calculated. I'm going to highlight this one right here, volume average 10-day. Take a look at the description. It says this is the daily average of the cumulative trading volume for the last 10 days. So it's a 10-day volume average. That's the one that I'm going to select. So I want the average to be greater than, and over here in the field, I'm just going to type in a number. I'm going to say that I want stocks that have at least 1 million shares traded. So hopefully it'll, yeah, that's 1 million right there. Okay. Next, I said that I was going to do EPS. So here in this criteria, I'm going to collapse volume and go into profitability. Profitability, earnings per share. I'm going to look at the earnings per share of MRQ, which stands for most recent quarter. I want earnings to be greater than, first of all, 0. So first of all, I want a company that posts positive earnings. Then I want the earnings per share for the trailing 12 months, that's the TTM. Earnings per share for the trailing 12 months, I want that to be greater than, and I'm going to come over here to the right. And notice this, I can click on the drop down here and get the exact same folder tree that I get on the other side. So you can compare values to values right here inside the scanner. I'm going to compare the earnings per share for the trailing 12 months against the earnings per share for the prior trailing 12 months. And I want one to be greater than the other. Not only do I want earnings to have increased from 1 year to the next, I want earnings to also be positive, okay? So one thing that I do, and I do this a lot of times when I'm running the scanner, is that I run my scan in the middle because I want to see how many symbols remain. Before I get to my technical indicators and all different calculations, I want to see how many symbols are left over. Because sometimes you continue adding different filters, and at the very end, your scanner is going to say, I did not find any results that match your criteria because you made the criteria too strict, too limiting. So it's harder to go back and figure out which one of the filters actually affected your scan results. So I want to run the scan somewhere in the middle just to have an idea of how many symbols remain, and it'll make your building of the scan so much easier. So I'm going to do that right now. Right here at the bottom, there's a run button. I'm just going to run it. Notice how quickly it ran, because I told you, as you grab filters from the yellow folders, those are specifically on the TradeStation server, and they run pretty fast. I can go to the log right here at the very end. You can see how it added the universe of symbols, and I have remaining 234 symbols. Notice how significant that is. By using just price volume, and EPS, I'm able to eliminate almost 8,700 symbols. That's impressive. So let's go back and add a little bit more detail. I'm gonna take a look at some of the questions that are coming in so that I can, stay on track. The scan feature is absolutely free. That's to answer Eloise's question. Will Traceation create a custom symbol list for all ETFs? Craig, we don't have a list per se, but I've created my own ETF lists. There are plenty of websites out there that publish updated ETF lists. And all you need to do is bring the list over to TradeStation and create your own custom symbol list. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. I'm gonna come over here and click on Customize. Right here on the top, on the left bottom, you click on Customize and it takes you directly to the filter list that you were working on. Of course, for the scan that you highlight right here in the scan pane. The last thing that I said that I was gonna do here is the RSI. So I'm gonna go here to the drop down and I'm gonna go here to the indicator. Notice that you have access to indicators, show me's, and paint bars, and even the trading app store. All those 4 items that you see at the bottom of the scanner is what sets the scanner in TradeStation apart from all competitors, because you have the ability to use technical analysis to scan the symbol universe. So if you're looking for a specific calculation, it can be MACD, ATR, Bollinger Band, anything that is in the technical analysis world, you can use it here. And not only things that are part of the industry, but any technical idea that you create yourself. If you are the type of user that likes to use your own technical analysis and modified versions of technical analysis, you can bring them here inside the scanner and scan the symbol universe for that custom idea. I find that to be very flexible, and the possibilities here are endless because you can bring in any one of your studies, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and go to indicator. I'm going to select the RSI. Here it is. I'm going to click OK. Notice that the RSI and every filter that you select here has a plus to the left-hand side, because one of the most common questions is, how do I make that technical study look at intra-day data? You see, by default, the interval is set to daily, but you can set it to any time frame. So you can do intraday scans if you want to. I'm going to leave it on daily, and I'm going to show you some very interesting calculation. For example, if I want to run the RSI on those 200 and change symbols that I had remaining, what I can do is I look at the RSI, and I want the RSI to be greater than 70. Why 70? Just an idea. I just want to see if there are any symbols that are being overbought. So higher than 70 on the RSI. I'm going to click on run, and I want you to notice the difference here. The 233 symbols are filtered down, but take a look at what's happening here. It's calculating the easy language. This is what I was trying to get to at the very beginning of the presentation. When you select filters on the yellow folders, it's going to do it very fast because it runs on the TradeStation server. But when you select technical analysis that runs easy language, that is going to be using your computing power. This is running on a laptop right now, and you can see that it's pretty fast, but it's not as fast as when I was using just the yellow folders. All the calculations are happening right here on my laptop. But it's going on pretty quickly. We're just going to give it a few more seconds until it finishes. You can just imagine how long this would take if you were to run the RSI on 9,000 symbols. I mean, it's not that you cannot do it. Of course you can, but just be aware that it's going to take a long time to process. You can see how long it's taking just to run 233 symbols. It may take much more, longer if we do the whole universe, but you're open to do it if you want. No limitation to not do it. Okay, all right. So I'm here in the log. So the log is telling me that from the 233 symbols, 32 remain. We just did our scan in a couple or a few minutes. We were able to find 32 symbols that not only meet the criteria of price, volume, EPS, but it also meets the criteria of the RSI. Now, I want you guys to take a look at something interesting, and this is something important for the scanner. I'm going to open up a chart analysis and put it right here side by side with my scanner, because I want to point out something here in the scanner, and you need to be aware of this in order to understand the results. This is a chart. I'm going to turn it into a daily chart, and I'm going to go to studies and add studies. And I'm going to add the RSI. Okay, let me go ahead and link the two windows together. And I'm going to go to the results tab and look at the 32 symbols that came up. ADM. I'm going to click on ADM. I can see the price of the stock is $44. Take a look at the value of the RSI. Right now, it is 70.53. Let me open up the chart a little bit so you can see a little bit more closely. It is 70.53. However, if you look at the RSI value of ADM right here in the scanner, let me scroll here to the right. You can see the RSI value is 70.53. So it matches completely because the bar is already closed. So usually when I do this class, I do it within market hours. But since the market has closed, it is able to use the closing price of today's bar. But let's say, for example, that you run this scan in the middle of the day. Let's say that you're running this at noon Eastern time. It's not going to use the current bar because the current bar hasn't closed. So it's going to do the calculation as of the close of the most recent completed bar. In this case, today's bar has already completed, so that's why it's using the value, and we see that it matches to 70.53. But out of the whole universe, these are the symbols that meet the criteria of the scan that I just created. Okay? Can you scan pre-market? Yes, definitely. Let me just think about that for a moment. You know, I haven't done it in a while, Jesus, but I would try it. Just you know, the very early hours of the morning, take a look at the scanner. You can definitely run it. My concern is just what data is it going to use? But give it a try and see if it's using, you know, pre-market data. I haven't done it recently, so I can't really say for sure. The RSI is a type of study that is looking for a return from a breakout, either on the upside or the downside. So once it's overbought, it's looking for the RSI to come or return inside the channel, and that's when the alert is generated, because that is a bearish signal. So once a stock exits the overbought level and it returns down, it's a bearish signal. The same happens right here at the bottom. If something is oversold, but then it returns inside the channel and it's not oversold anymore, that is a bullish signal. And that is when the RSI triggers the signal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize my scan and do something a little bit different. Every study that uses alert criteria is going to have the word alert right here inside this sub drop down, because you can select any of the values of the RSI. If you have something that has multiple plots like MACD, you can choose any of the plots there to see what the value is. But here, I want you guys to see that there's the word alert. So you can do a scan not necessarily on the value of the RSI, but on the actual alert trigger of any technical analysis. And I say this because this allows you to do like searching for stocks that are crossing on a exponential moving average, or looking for stocks that are crossing the Bollinger Bands. So those specific events are not necessarily tied in to a value, like over here where we're scanning for 70, but they're tied into an actual event, something that happens. So here I can set the alert or the field to alert, and then in the operator, I'm looking for a true alert. Do we have any symbols that match the criteria? Let's take a look. I'm going to run it again. You can see how the scanner runs again. Again, easy language is going to take a little bit longer. Not as long as the first time, because remember that TradeStation is the type of platform that Every symbol that it looks at, it creates a small data file on your computer to make it faster. So take a look at how fast my scanner ran this second time, because it already had all the data for the 233 symbols that it analyzed earlier. So once you run it the first time and it's taken a long time, the second time should be much faster. So notice how my scan results now are 4. Out of the 233 symbols, 4 meet the criteria. Let's take a look. GLPI. This is a gaming and leisure company. If I look at the RSI, notice what's happening. On the previous bar, the RSI was overbought. But on the current bar, it is 68.67. It returned. That's the trigger. Let's take a look at the next one, NCR. We have the same behavior. It was overbought on the previous bar. Now it's returning inside. Is it a valid signal? That's up to you to analyze and determine. But notice how quickly we're able to look for stocks that are meeting certain criteria on the current bar. Okay? All right, let's take a look at one other idea. And this is just for you guys to think about and just to trigger your trading juices inside your brains. Here we have a workspace that has 2 charts. And I'm using average true range. There is a study in the Trading App Store that analyzes volatility in the form of average true range. If you're not familiar with average true range, this is just measuring how big the candles are from high to low. Take a look at these 2 symbols. On the left-hand side, I have Costco. And on the right-hand side, I have AMD. These are popular symbols in the market. And if you look at the average true range indicator, you can see that the value, it's about the same. We have $5.20 for Costco, and we have $5.10 for AMD, which means that in the past 14 days, because it's using a 14-day ATR, these 2 symbols have moved about the same amount, $5.10 or $5.20. Let's just round it down to $5. They both have moved an average of $5. However, when you look at the value or the price of the security, you automatically know which one is a better investment. Take a look at AMD, it's trading at $82. And take a look at Costco, it's trading at $336 per share. They both move the same amount, considering the ATR, but one is much more expensive than the other. It requires a much more capital to invest in Costco. So if you want to make, for example, let's say that you are trading 100 shares. 100 shares, you would make $500 if we take into account the ATR, $5 per day, right? So if it moves $5 and you're holding 100 shares, that's $500. But if you're trading 100 shares of Costco, that's a $33,000 investment. As opposed to AMD, if you trade 100 shares, that's only $8,000. You can see the difference. You're risking more capital for the same amount of movement. So we're taking these ATR number and taking into account the value of the security so that we have a score that is comparable across different assets. It's called a volatility score. And if you look it up in the Trading App Store, you find it very quickly. I'm just going to turn it on here and show you exactly what it does. I'm going to go here to Edit Studies. I call it the volatility value. I'm just going to turn it on. And I'm going to do the same thing here inside of my 2 charts. It's not in here, so I'll add it. So studies, add studies. So let me see. Look at my, and I'm showing it here in the chart, but I'm going to go back to the scanner to show you how we can scan based on this idea. Here's the volatility value. All right, and here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this and change it to 14 so that it matches. Okay, so take a look at the ATR, $5 and $5, but take a look at the volatility score, which is using ATR, but as a percentage of the value of the security, which pretty much the formula is very, very simple. You take this value of the ATR divided by the value of the security, and then you multiply it by 100. And that's what you get down here. For Costco, it represents 1.54%. The movement of $5 is just 1.5% of the value of Costco, as opposed to AMD, that if AMD moves $5, that is 6.1%, significantly higher, because we're looking at the movement in relationship to the value of the stock. So when the markets are not moving, the scanner is a type of tool that allows you to look for stocks that have the higher potential of movement in relationship to their price. Let me come back here to my scanner. I'm going to modify the one that I just created. I'm going to go here to customize. And in this particular case, I'm going to uncheck the RSI. When you uncheck any of the items here, it's going to skip it. And that way, rather than removing the filter altogether, you can just disable it momentarily. But I can select that custom indicator that I have here in my TradeStation and say, use the volatility value. Let me find it here. And I'm going to look for volatility value, and I'm going to say the top 20 stocks. And that is an operator that you can select here. So you don't necessarily have to select a range of values or say something greater than or less than. You can say, give me the top number or the top percentage. Notice all the operators that are there. They're great when you want to look for something that is at the very top of the list. This is going to look for the top 20 that have the highest volatility value in relationship to their price. Let's take a look. I'm going to run this. And of course, we have the easy language running again. This is calculating every symbol that I have in my database. It should be running quickly because these are the same list of symbols that we started off on the first scan that we ran. While that's finishing, let me take a look at some of the questions here. All right. Are futures the same thing as options? They are not. Jesus, how do you know what event triggers the alert? That's a good question, Myron. Every technical study has alert programmed inside the easy language. Most of the time is just a standard alert. For example, RSI is something that TradeStation did not create. It's a standard RSI study, and it has a standard alert, and we use that standard alert. But if you are curious to know exactly what is the alert criteria, you have to open up the easy language. And the quickest way to do that is coming here on TradeStation, right-click on the study that you want to see the code for, and go to Edit Easy Language for RSI. It'll open up the code, and there's going to be a section that says Alert Criteria, and it'll give you all the details. It'll be a little bit of easy language, so learning a little bit of easy language will help you understand some of the content in there. Buck is asking, can you run back just a minute and show the RSI true scan just ran? Not sure what you were looking for, but I can answer any question. I set the RSI to two different settings. I set it to RSI greater than 70, and I also looked for the RSI alert. Okay. Okay, so this is something that came back. Notice how the 20 symbols that have the highest volatility value. And by the way, Eric, this is something that is not part of the list that comes on TradeStation by default. Let me show you I'll show you how you can find a study that does this exactly. But this is the top 20 symbols that have the highest movement relative to their price. Let's look at, in fact, let me scroll here to the right, and it should show the volatility value right here. You see, let me sort by volatility value, and this is the one that has the highest, BGFV. And notice how big the candles are recently. It's a stock that trades at $6.55, and the volatility or value or score is 14%. If I look at the ATR, let me look at the ATR. Let me go to studies, add studies. I'm just gonna add a simple ATR, average true range. Average to range is one of the built-in indicators. Okay. So take a look. In average, this symbol moves about 95 cents, almost $1 every single day. And we're talking about a stock that is worth $6.55. That's very significant. If we go to the next one, ZVO, same happens. Notice that it's a stock that is worth $5, but every day in the past 14 days, this stock has moved an average of 72 cents. So I find this very interesting in how you can find stocks that are moving significantly relative to the value per share. If you're looking for something similar to this idea, let me show you where you can find it. Let me open up my browser, and I can show you very quickly. So here, I'm going to go to Learn. And from the Learn tab, just go to the Trading App Store. In the Trading App Store, where you can find custom studies that you can bring into your platform, right here at the top, I'm going to search for volatility. And in the results, I'm going to filter by free. I like free, so I click on free. And if you look to the bottom, not the bottom, sorry. Actually, no, there's 2 pages. So you have to go to next page, and you find it right there at the bottom is the volatility score. So you can install this from the Trading App Store free. This indicator was created by my colleague, Michael Burke, and I just feel that it's an interesting idea to find these stocks that are moving significantly based or relative to their value. All right? So what else is there? Let me go back to my TradeStation. Any questions so far? Let me see if I can take a look at some of the questions that are coming in. AMR is asking, what are the features in the desktop version not available in web version? Easy Language? Yes, Easy Language is one of them. Not available on the web platform. And Scanner is another tool that is not available. Radar Screen, we have some limited radar screen functionality. So think of web trading as a simplified version of TradeStation. Not everyone, not every trader needs every advanced tool that TradeStation provides. Not everyone needs the scanner. Not everyone needs the radar screen. Some people just need an order entry tool. Here I put in my trades. Here I pull up a chart, and that's it. But a lot of times, if you're looking for something more advanced like the scanner, you're going to have to use the desktop for that. I'm available, by the way, this is to answer Davis' question. I'm available every Wednesday in the Getting Started channel. And I do the Getting Started class at 11. And I do a Q&A session that is open to everyone at 12 noon Eastern time. But I'm also present inside of the Masterclass channel for Q&A on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you become a member, you have 2 additional classes where you can ask specific questions on the TradeStation platform. There's a question from AMR. Can I use a desktop version when I'm away? Use the web version. Will web version have my positions and balances? Can my workspaces be stored in TradeStation Cloud? Great question, AMR. We don't have a TradeStation Cloud. However, yes, you can log into your desktop, put in some trades in there, and then go to the web version and monitor those same trades and those same positions. The only thing that is not transferable are the workspaces. So those are different because it's 2 different platforms. Okay? And that's it. So great. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for joining me in this presentation. I appreciate the fact that you took time out of your schedules. And I just want to wish you a great afternoon. And please stay safe. And I hope to see you in a future event right here at TradeStation. The recording will be posted in a day or 2. And it'll be available on the TradeStation YouTube channel. And thank you guys for always being part of the TradeStation family. Great evening. Bye-bye.